Hello viewers, in this video we are going to solve exercise 2C from Mechanics 1 of Edexcel Pearson IAL. So this exercise is about the particles moving in double motion and single motion. If you have any problems regarding the values of A, U and V for double motion and single motions and the graphs, you can check out my previous video, the basics of chapter 2. The link is given in the description box, so do check it out. So moving on to the questions. I'll solve only one example out of all these examples. If you have any problems in the other examples, you can comment it in the comment section. I'll try to solve those also. So here in question example 11, a ball B is projected vertically upwards from a point O with speed 12 meter per second. Find A, the greatest height above O reached by B. Part B, the total time before B returns to O. So the diagram would be like this one, like a curved parabolic line. And this is a starting point. Let's imagine this is O and we projected the ball upwards from this point, so it will move through this curved path and this is its maximum point. And then again from this point it moves downwards through this curved path. And then this is its ending point. And this is the velocity at the maximum point, that is going to be 0. The velocity at the starting point is going to be 12, and the acceleration for this starting point to the maximum point is going to be minus 9.8. Why it's minus 9.8? I've explained it in my previous video, the basics of chapter 2. So I'm not going to explain it over here again. So let's focus on this maths. And it wants you to find the greatest height above O reached by B. The greatest height is the difference between the this point to this point. That is the maximum height to its ground level is going to be the greatest height ball B reached over ground. So for part A, list all the information. Listing all the information is important over here because the directions also different for some particles, and some particles are regarded as minus. So listing the information is important. So list all the values, and using the equation v square u square plus 2a is, make s the subject out of it and put in all the values. Using the calculator you can find the value for v, that is going to be 7.346 meter per second. So you can just consider it to be 7.4 meters. The greatest height reached by the ball B is going to be 7.4 meters. Moving to part B, it wants you to find the total time, that is the time it took to move from this point through this curved path to reach to this point. So here the S is going to be 0. Why is the S 0? It's again, I explained it in the previous video, the basics of chapter 2. So yeah, S is 0 over here. U is still going to be positive 12. V is not given. V is the thing we need to find. T is also not given, and A is minus 9.8. Oh, we don't need to actually find the value for V. We need to find the value for T. So using the equation S equals to UT plus half AT square, put in all the values in it, and using the calculator you can find the value for T, that is 2.446 seconds. So that is basically round up into two significant figures, gives you 2.4 seconds. So the total time the particle took to move from the starting point, like from this, to again end at the points of projection is 2.4 seconds. I hope this was clear. And moving to the exercise questions. So these are it. I'm going to solve the only first 8 questions and continue solving the other 8 in the next video. So question number 1, a ball is projected vertically upwards from a point O with speed 14 meter per second. Find the greatest height above O reached by the ball. So it wants you to find the greatest height above the point of projection. So U is going to be 14, A is going to be minus 9.8 because the question is about double motions. It wants you to find the value for the greatest height, that is the difference between its maximum point to its ground level, and the velocity at its maximum point is going to be 0. List all the information given in a question, and using the equation v square is equal to u square plus 2a is, make s the subject of it, and we are left with v square minus u square divided by 2a Put in all the values in it, and then using the calculator you can find the value for S, that is 10 meter. So the greatest height reached by the ball above its point of projection is 10 meter. I hope this was clear. Question number 2. A whale is 50-meter deep. A stone is released from rest at the top of the well. Find how long the stone takes to reach the bottom of the well. So the question has mentioned it was released from rest. That means its initial velocity is 0 meter per second. The well is 50-meter deep, giving you the giving you the information that the distance covered by the stone is 50 meters and wants you to find the time. So this is the diagram. That's the stone, that's the height of the well, and it's the bottom line. U is 0 and A is positive 9.8 meter per second square here because it's a math with single motion. So here in single motion, A is 0. List all the informations in the given in your question, and using the equation S equals to ut plus half at square, put all the values in it, and then using the calculator you can find the value for t, that is 3.2 seconds. So the time taken for the stone to move to reach the bottom of the well is 3.2 seconds. Question number 3. A ball falls from the top shelf of a bookcase. It takes 0.6 seconds to reach the floor. Find how far it is from the top shelf of the floor. So it wants you to find the distance the book has fallen, and has given you the informations like time, and the question says the book falls. Falls or drops means the initial velocity of that object is 0, or it has fallen from rest, so it all means that its initial velocity would be 0 meter per second, and the time is given, and since it has only fallen, that means single directional maths, and there is no sign change for the acceleration, so the acceleration is going to be positive 9.8 meter per second square. Draw the diagram, list all the information given in the questions, and using the equation S equals to ut plus half at square, put in all the values in it. Using the calculator you can find the value for S, that is 1.8 meters. So the book has fallen 1.8 meter from its top shelf. Hope this was clear. Question number 4. A particle is projected vertically upwards with speed 20 meter per second from a point on the ground. Find the time of the flight of the particle. The time of flight is basically the time the ball has taken to move from its point of projection to again come back to its point of projection. So this is the diagram. It has given you the information like initial velocity, that is 20 meter per second. The total time is not given. The acceleration is going to be minus 9.8 meter per second square because this question is about the double motion maths. And yep, this was all given by it. And list all the informations given in your question. Oh, I forgot to mention that we are going to consider S to be 0 over here because again it has moved. The distance that has moved while moving upward is equal to the distance moved while moving downward, so it cancels out each other because of the directional and sign change. And here we are left with S equals to 0. If you have any problem for this point also, you can check out my previous video. I have explained it in that video very in detail. So sticking to this question, S equals to ut plus half at square is the equation we are going to use for these situations and put in all the values in it. And we will end with this kind of equation, and using the calculator you can find the value for t, that is going to be 4.082 meter per second, or basically 4.1 meter per second. So the total time for the ball is 4.1 seconds. Hope this was clear. Question number 5. A ball is thrown vertically downward from the top of a tower with speed 18 meter per second. It reaches the ground in 1.6 seconds. Find the height of the tower. It wants to find the height of the tower. So again, this thing is something like the question number 3 maybe. So this is a point of projection. The ball was thrown downward. That means it's about the single motion maths. U is going to be 18 meter per second, T is going to be 1.6, A is going to be positive 9.8 because the maths is about single motion and the height is not given. So list all the information given in your question and using the equation S equals to ut plus half at square, put in all the values in it. Using the calculator, you can find the value for h, that is 41 meters. So the ball has fallen 41 meters, or the height of the tower is 41 meters. Uh, Remember that you can't use the equation v square u square plus 2as in this equation because the v for this equation is not given. You can only use this one because here the s is given, everything is given over here, but you don't have the value for v, so you can use all the other three equations from equations of motions because all the other three got v in it. Moving to question number 6. A pebble is catapulted vertically upwards with speed 24 meters per second. Find A, the greatest height above the point of projection reached by the pebble. Part B, the time taken to reach this height. So in part A, it wants you to find the greatest height it has reached from its point of projection, and in part B, it wants you to find the time it takes to reach that maximum height, and has given you the initial velocity, that is 24 meter per second, and it's something about double motion, so the value for acceleration is going to be negative 9.8 meter per second square, and the final velocity at the maximum point is going to be 0. We all know that, and this is a diagram for this math, so draw it and list all the informations required given in the question, and then using the equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as, make s the subject out of it and put in all the values in it, and using the calculator you can find the value for s, that is 29 meters. In part B, it wants you to find the value for t, so we are using the equation v equals to u plus at, make t the subject out of it, and we are left with b minus u divided by a in our right hand side, and put all the informations in it, and then using the calculator you can find the value for t, that is 2.4 seconds. So it took 2.4 seconds to move from its starting point to its maximum height. Hope this was clear. Moving to question number 7. A ball is projected upwards from a point which is 4 meters above the ground with speed 18 meters per second. Find the speed of the ball when it is 15 meters above its point of projection, the speed with which the ball hits the ground. So in part A, it wants you to find the value for the speed when it's 15 meters above the ground. So like this, let's imagine this is like the 15-meter line. So from this point to this point is the 15-meter gap. So it wants you to find the speed of the ball when it is at this exact position. And it has given you the informations like initial velocity with which the ball was thrown upward, that is 18 meters per second. The ball was actually 4 meters above the ground, and yep, this is all the thing given in your question. And yeah, the question is about double motion, so the acceleration would be negative 9.8 meter per second square. So this all the information given in your question, and then using the equation v square is equal to u square plus 2as, put in all the values in it, and then using the calculator you can find the value for b that is going to be 5.5 meter per second. So the speed of the ball 15 meters above its point of projection is 5.5 meter per second. Moving to part B, it wants you to find the velocity with which it hits the ground. So this is going to be the velocity over here. So list all the information. VU is still going to be 18, A is still going to be minus 9.8, and S is going to be minus 4 because the amount of distance it has risen above its point of projection, that's the maximum greatest height above its point of projection, is covered up to this point. So at this point the displacement becomes 0 again, and when it moves downward from this point it moves 4 meters to reach the ground, and since it's moving downward, so the speed is going to be negative 4. And then using the equation v square equals to u square plus 2as, then put in all the values in it, and yep, using the equation put in all the values, and then using the equation your answer is 20 meter. I'm sorry, I forgot to put the root over here. I hope it would be clear for you all to understand how the 20 came. It's just put the root over here, over this second point, second line in the right hand side, and you'll get the value 20. So the ball hits the ground with 20 meter per second. Also, the unit is wrong. I'm sorry for that. It's meter per second. It would be meter per second. Moving to question number 8. A particle P is projected vertically downwards from a point 80 meter above the ground with speed 4 meter per second. Find A, the speed with which P hits the ground. Part B, the time P takes to reach the ground. Okay, so it wants you to find the speed with which it hits the ground, that is its final velocity, and wants you to find the time it has taken to cover the whole 80 meter distance. It has given you the final initial velocity, that is 4 meter per second, and the distance is 80 meters that it would cover, and it's about a mass with single motion, so the A would be 9.8 meter per second square, and that's going to be positive. Do see that I wrote negative, but I cut it after it, so it's positive 9.8 meter per second square. For part A, list all the information given in a question, and using the equation v square u square plus 2a is, put all the values in it, and using the calculator you can find the value for v with which it hits the ground is going to be 40 meter per second. Part B, in here it wants you to find the value for time for the total calculations. So list all the information, and using the equation B equals to U plus AT, make T the subject out of it, and we are left with B minus U divided by A in our right hand side, and put all the values in it. And using the calculator, you can find the value for T. So that is 3.7 seconds. So it took 3.7 seconds for the whole calculation. And you can also use S equals to UT plus half AT square, S equals to VT minus half AT square, or S equals to UT divided by 2 multiplied by T for this equation, because because at this point, like for part B, all the information is required to find the value for T is given. So you can use any of the 4 equations except the V square U square plus 2AS, because that equation doesn't have T in it. I hope this was clear enough. I hope my all the explanation for the 8 questions was clear enough for you all to understand. And if you have any questions regarding all for this video, you can comment it in our comment section. And the solutions for this exercise is given in our description box, and the book pages are also given in the description box. So stay connected to our channel for more videos. And thank you for watching us.